What if I told you there's a free calendar, completely free, that can tell you exactly how likely you are to get booked on any day of the year? And that same calendar is hiding a minimum length of stay strategy that most hosts never discover. And it can instantly increase your revenue the moment you start using it. Most Dubai Airbnb hosts just set a price, maybe bump it up during F1 or New Year's, and then they hope for the best. And they're leaving 30 to 40% of their potential income just sitting on the table. I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. The free tools, the rule sets, and how to use AI to find every single leak in your pricing strategy in about 5 minutes. So let's start with the Airbnb calendar itself, because honestly, most hosts have no idea how powerful this thing actually is. So when you go to your multi-calendar on Airbnb, and I'm sure you've seen it, it's the one that shows all your dates. When you click on any day, it opens up this sidebar on the right. And even if you're using a channel manager, even if you're using PriceLabs or Wheelhouse or whatever, you can still make one critical change that overrides everything else. And that change is called a rule set. Now, rule sets are probably the most powerful pricing tool you have if you're operating on Airbnb, and almost nobody uses them properly. I didn't for the first year. I had no idea this existed. Here's why this matters so much for us in Dubai. Airbnb lets you change settings that other platforms just don't have. Like, if you go to booking.com or VRBO, sure, they let you set a weekly discount or a monthly discount. But they don't have 3-day discounts. They don't have 4-day discounts. They don't have the same early bird or last-minute discount flexibility. And the beautiful part is you can change these settings day by day. Not one setting for your whole calendar, day by day based on what's happening in Dubai. So let me give you 3 rule sets that I actually use on my properties. The first one, I call it the no discounts rule set. This is for your peak days. In Dubai, that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, during high season, during F1 weekend, during New Year's, during shopping festival. You apply this rule set and you're not giving away a single dirham in discounts because you don't need to. See, your listing might have a global setting like 10% weekly discount. That's fine for most of the year. But this rule set overrides that for your best nights when demand is already high. The second one, I call it Weekday Boost. This offers better discounts on your slower days to encourage more bookings. In Dubai, Sunday through Wednesday are typically our weaker days. So I'll offer maybe a 15% discount for 3-night stays on these days. Because filling those weekday gaps, that's where most hosts are actually losing money. Not on weekends, on the empty Tuesdays. And the third one, this is the powerful one. I call it Drive Down. This combines a 3-night length of stay discount with last-minute discounts. So if someone's booking within 7 days and they're staying 3 nights, they get stacked discounts. Both at the same time. Yes, you can do that. Most hosts don't know this. This fills those gaps that would otherwise just sit empty and make you nothing. I have about a dozen different rule sets now for different scenarios. Actually, let me pause here for a second because I want to show you something that changed how I think about pricing entirely. An empty night in your apartment doesn't just cost you 0 dirhams. It actually costs you money. Think about it. You're still paying service charges for that night. You're still paying for the Wi-Fi that's running. The AC might be on to keep the place fresh. Your listing is aging in Airbnb's algorithm because it's not getting booked. So that empty Tuesday isn't 0 dirhams. It's actually -50, -80 dirhams when you factor in what you're paying to keep that apartment ready. Now suddenly, offering a 15% discount to fill that Tuesday doesn't seem so painful, does it? You're not losing 15%, you're avoiding a loss. Okay, back to the strategy. So now let me show you a free tool that tells you exactly when to apply each of those rule sets. And this is where it gets really interesting. If you use PriceLabs, And by the way, you can access this calendar for free. You don't need to pay for their full service. You'll see a color-coded system on your calendar. Light green means low demand. Dark green is moderate demand. Light blue is high demand. And dark blue is your highest demand days. Now, these colors are based on actual market data. This isn't guesswork. PriceLabs is looking at what's happening across all the listings in your area. But here's the hack that most people completely miss, and this literally changed my revenue when I figured it out. Go to your calendar and look at your best months. For Dubai, that's October through April, right? Our high season. Now look at those dark blue days. During normal weeks, dark blue might just be Friday and Saturday. But during peak season, during F1 week, during New Year's, during big events, you're going to see something different. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday might all be dark blue. Sometimes you'll see a whole week that's dark blue. And this is exactly where you need to change your minimum length of stay. Here's the principle, and this is important, so pay attention. If you see a 5-day run of dark blue high-demand days, your minimum length of stay should be 4 nights. If you see a 3-day run of dark blue, a 2-night minimum is fine. If you see 7 or more dark blue days in a row, which definitely happens in Dubai around major events, consider a 5-night minimum. Let me explain why this works. During those high-demand stretches, there are always 2 or 3 super popular days that everyone wants. But here's the thing, guests often extend their stay around those days. They're not just coming for one night. You want to capture those longer stay guests. One booking that fills 5 nights is way better than scrambling to piece together single nights with gaps in between. Let me give you a Dubai-specific example. F1 weekend. The race is on Sunday, right? But people don't just fly in Sunday morning. They arrive Thursday or Friday. Many of them stay through Monday to recover, see the city, whatever. Now, if you have a 1-night minimum, someone might book just Saturday night, your most valuable night of the entire year. And then you're left with Friday open, Sunday open, Monday open. And those days are now much harder to fill because they're orphan nights sitting between bookings. But if you set a 4-night minimum for that dark blue stretch, you capture the guest who's coming for the whole experience. One clean booking, no gaps, no stress. Same logic applies to New Year's. Everyone wants December 31st, but set a 4 or 5-night minimum from December 29th through January 2nd, and you fill your entire most valuable week with one booking. Here's the key insight. In peak season, you have all the power. You can push for higher rates and longer minimum stays at the same time, because demand is on your side. Don't forget that. Okay, now let me show you something that genuinely takes 5 minutes and will probably shock you when you see the results. Open ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI you prefer. Doesn't matter, they can all do this. Now go to your Airbnb account, go to your earnings section, then transaction history, and download a CSV file, that's just a spreadsheet, of all your past payouts. Get the last 12 months if you can. Upload that file to the AI, and now ask it to analyze your booking patterns. What the AI can instantly tell you is incredible. Like stuff that would take you hours to figure out manually. It'll show you your average length of stay across all bookings. It'll tell you which days are your most popular check-in days. It'll calculate how often you had a Tuesday booked versus how often it sat empty. It'll break down your occupancy by day of the week in ways that Airbnb's dashboard just doesn't show you. And here's where this gets really powerful for Dubai. So you might look at your Airbnb dashboard and see 75% occupancy overall. And you think, okay, that's pretty good, right? I'm happy with that. But then the AI breaks it down and shows you, actually, you have 95% occupancy on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But you have 45% occupancy Sunday through Wednesday. And specifically on Mondays, maybe 15. 75% overall sounds fine, but 15% on Mondays is a massive leak. Now, you know exactly where to focus. You need Monday-specific strategies. Maybe a bigger discount for stays that include Monday. Maybe you target business travelers who need to be in Dubai for Monday meetings. Maybe you reach out to past guests with a special rate. The AI can also spot seasonal patterns you might have missed. Like, maybe you're fully booked October through December, but occupancy drops to 50% in January after everyone leaves Dubai. Now you know to adjust your January pricing more aggressively. Or maybe you target a different guest segment, corporate travelers, people doing visa runs, whatever. The prompts I use are super simple. I upload the data and I say something like, analyze this booking data. Tell me which days of the week are underperforming. What's my average lead time for bookings? And where do you see the biggest revenue opportunities? Then I ask, based on this data, what specific pricing changes would you recommend for the next 3 months? That's it. 5 minutes of AI analysis shows you patterns that would take hours to figure out on your own. And those patterns translate directly into pricing decisions that actually increase your revenue. Okay, I need to tell you something important here, and this might be controversial. PriceLabs is great, I use it, but I stopped trusting it blindly about a year ago, and here's why. Over 70% of hosts now use some kind of dynamic pricing software. PriceLabs, Wheelhouse, Beyond Pricing, whatever. That means 70% of your competition is going up and down at the exact same time based on the same algorithms. Imagine big rolling waves in the ocean. Everyone rises together, everyone falls together. Now think about what happens when occupancy in your area drops to, say, 25%. If 70% of hosts are using the same software and the final occupancy is only 25%, how does the algorithm decide which 25% of listings get booked? It doesn't. It can't. Which means, and this is the insight, pricing software gets you to average. It doesn't get you to exceptional. Your job is to understand where the software ends and where your strategy begins. When occupancy is normal, 60 to 80%, the software works fine. But when occupancy is very high, the software probably isn't raising your prices enough. And when occupancy is very low, the software can't save you unless you're doing something different than everyone else. That's why the rule sets and the AI analysis matter so much. They're what separate you from the 70% who are all doing the exact same thing. Okay, let me show you one more tool. This last one is really cool, and it helps you see what's coming so you can adjust before it's too late. In PriceLabs, again, free access to this, go to Neighborhood Data and scroll down past the rates chart until you see this chart with a bunch of wavy lines. What this shows you is 3 things for any future date. First, last year's final occupancy. So how booked up was that week when it actually arrived? Second, last year's occupancy at this same point in time. Like, how booked was that week when we were 60 days out? And third, current occupancy for that same future date this year. Now, here's how you use these numbers to predict what's coming. Let's say you're looking at a week in March. The chart shows last year's final occupancy was 80%. It also shows that last year at this same point, 60 days out, occupancy was 30%. Now you look at this year. Current occupancy for that week is only 25%. So you're at 25% now versus 30% at the same point last year. You're running behind. If last year ended at 80% and you're running at about 83% of last year's pace, you're projecting maybe 65 to 67% occupancy this year. That's useful information. It tells you maybe you need to be more aggressive on pricing right now. Maybe apply those discount rule sets earlier than you planned. But there's another factor: booking velocity. How fast are new bookings coming in compared to last year? If you're behind but bookings are accelerating, you might catch up. If velocity is slowing down, you need to act now. For Dubai, this is incredibly valuable because our market has such distinct seasons. If you see February is tracking ahead of last year, hold firm on pricing. Maybe even increase it. If March is tracking behind, start those discount rule sets earlier. The hosts who check these numbers monthly or even weekly during key booking windows, they consistently outperform hosts who just set prices and hope. All right, so let me show you how I actually combine all of this into one workflow. Because having tools is one thing, using them systematically is another. Every month, I check the occupancy prediction chart. I look at the next 90 days and see how they're tracking compared to last year. This tells me if I need to be aggressive or if I can hold firm. Then I look at the color-coded demand calendar to find my dark blue high demand stretches. For those periods, I apply my no discounts rule set and I increase minimum length of stay to capture longer bookings. For the lighter colored periods, my slower days, I apply the weekday boost or drive down rule sets to fill gaps. Every quarter, I download my booking data, run it through AI, and look for patterns I might have missed. Which days are underperforming? What's my average lead time? Are there guest segments I'm not reaching? And then I adjust my rule sets based on what the data actually tells me. Not what I assume, what the data tells me. This whole workflow takes maybe 2 to 3 hours per month once you have it set up. But the difference is significant. I'm consistently seeing 20 to 30% higher revenue compared to hosts who just set a flat rate and occasionally adjust for holidays. Dubai is competitive. There are thousands of listings all fighting for the same guests. The hosts who understand demand patterns, who use rule sets strategically, who let data drive their decisions, those are the hosts making real money. Everyone else is leaving thousands of dirhams on the table and wondering why their returns aren't what they expected. So that's it. The Airbnb calendar rule sets, the color-coded demand hack, AI for finding your pricing leaks, and the occupancy chart for predicting what's coming. These tools are free. The strategies are proven. I use them every single month on my own properties. If you want help setting up these systems for your Dubai property, or if you're thinking about investing and want to see what professional operations actually look like, WhatsApp me. Link is in the description. And if this was useful, subscribe. I post real, actionable content about Dubai short-term rentals every week. Not theory, actual strategies from operating properties myself.